Thank you.
Welcome.
Hi, everyone. Welcome. We're going to have a strong start, hopefully, to the day. Thank you so much to AdExchanger and Industry Preview for putting this together and having us here today. My name is Anda. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Knotch. But more than anything, I'm actually a data nerd. That's how I identify myself. And lucky me, data has been a massive topic in literally every industry over the last few years, and in particular in the marketing realm, where there's been a ton of disruption coming from the emergence of data as a topic. Especially lately, obviously, there's been a lot of conversation around what data privacy laws are going to come into the US after Europe and how GDPR will evolve. And so there's a lot of different ways that I think data has influenced this industry, and I'm excited to talk a little bit about some of that today. For those of you who don't know, Knotch is a content intelligence platform. We basically use a lot of different signals, from emotion to behavior to engagement to demographics to conversion, to help inform what content works the best in real time, whether it's from a creative standpoint or from a distribution standpoint. And we have a lot of different customers and a lot of different verticals, and Calvin Klein is one of these customers. They kind of stand alone as our only customer in the fashion vertical, and definitely one of the thought-leading brands in this space. So when we look at 2019 and we think about what's really next for our industry, we think about two things. The first is a theme that emerged a few years ago that I'm excited to talk to Michael about today, which is the theme of storytelling. As you all know, there's been kind of a flow of dollars essentially away from just simple programmatic and into a more value exchange-driven type of conversation content. The second one is the evolution of the topic of data transparency. We, as a company, have become pretty outspoken about the need for data transparency in the reporting chain in our industry. And I think this year we're actually going to evolve that conversation into a data ownership conversation and ask ourselves and our marketers questions like, who really owns the data? Is it you or the agency? Who really owns the data? Is it you or the platforms that you're using? And to really kind of help them think through some of their contracts and some of those clauses that I think really influence their ability to have a more direct relationship with their audience. So I'm very excited to have a larger conversation today with Michael on this topic. And I wanted Michael to share a little bit about himself, because you've spent most, if not all, of your career at Calvin Klein. And what's really interesting about Calvin Klein is that not only does it have a new marketing team and a completely new vision for how marketing should be done, but also it is a very iconic fashion brand. And so oftentimes we'll hear at these conferences from different brands in the CPG, telco, technology, or financial space. And I just wanted to hear a bit about your background and a bit about how you think about disrupting the brand in the fashion realm.
Great. Hi, good morning, everyone. I'm Michael DeLellis. I'm the EVP of Strategic Marketing Initiatives and Transformation at Calvin Klein. As Anda said, I've had the fortunate, I've been able to be at Calvin Klein a little over 20 years. So I started my career in 1998, way back when Mr. Calvin Klein was actually owned the company and was running it. So I had the pleasure of working with him for a few years, and then we were sold to PVH Corp, which is one of the largest apparel companies in the world. And I don't know, fast forward to today, I just celebrated my 20th anniversary back in August, which is very surreal.
Very loyal.
Very loyal, very loyal. But it's a great company, it's a great brand, it's iconic, as Anda mentioned. And we definitely, when I first joined, my background was, I worked at a big packaged goods advertising agency on Park Avenue. I graduated from school in marketing, got a job, moved into New York, sort of did my thing. Worked on garbage bags and pharmaceuticals for a couple years, and then I went to another fashion company, and one day someone called me to come to Calvin Klein, which was like in 1998. It was the heyday of the brand being, super iconic and revolutionary and disruptive, so that was super exciting, and I jumped into it, and I was heading up media at the time, and the company's been very good to me, and I've done a lot of different things. And today I'm leading strategic marketing initiatives, reporting to Marie-Ghislaine Merrill, who's our CMO, who joined about 7 months ago from L'Oreal, who is an amazing boss, leader, disruptor. So super excited about that. And we're, there's a lot of really great things on the horizon that we're sort of gearing up for. for
So let's
2019.
dig a little bit into that, because Marie says you're her right hand, and I've seen her, she kind of defers to you in a lot of these meetings. So tell us a little bit about the changes and the kind of difference in attitude that she's brought to the company, and what are some of those priorities for 2019 that you're putting into action?
Yeah, I would say that there was definitely a journey that we were on as an organization, and obviously, you know, a data-driven marketing organization. But when Marie got there, in the last 7-8 months, it's gone 1,000 miles an hour. And really, you know, there was a lot of great work that was already underway with consumer insights, data stacks, a lot of different organizational kind of important things, foundations. And she came in, we were able to look at things. But, you know, in terms of our priorities, we're really trying to definitely be better data-driven marketers. And obviously that's a bit of a buzzword and everyone's talking about it, but Calvin's always been a disruptor. And you know, we have to find the balance of like, how do you blend the art and the science with all that we do? Because obviously we as a brand have huge brand awareness, 90% plus globally around the world. We have very big relevancy numbers, but there's some other things that we need to work on. And in today's day and age, with you know how everything's so disruptive and the world is changing dramatically, just with trends and everyone's on their mobile device, how we have to go to market is it's a lot different than it was a number of years ago, even 2 years ago. So we're really trying to push things forward with you know disruptive marketing efforts, from creative development to media and how we're buying things and all those types of things.
And when it comes to what I believe is one of your big priorities, which is storytelling, how do you guys think about telling the Calvin Klein story?
Yeah, I mean, I think we have such a rich legacy in storytelling. The brand actually is, in addition to my anniversary, is 50 years old this year. Oh. So it was founded in 1968 by Mr. Calvin Klein and Barry Schwartz. And you know, it's always been disruptive, thought-provoking, a cultural catalyst. So we really want to keep pushing boundaries. And at the end of the day, we don't have an awareness issue, but we want to work on different pieces of the consumer journey to really connect with our consumers, because they're more demanding, they're expecting more from us. It's just not about brand halo campaigns. We really want to make sure that you know we're engaging with them across the entire consumer journey, and we're really connecting the dots. So it's really important to us.
And when you think about telling that story, how much of it do you think happens on social media versus, you know, maybe your owned and operated? Yeah. And how do you think about that balance between more of the performance marketing side versus the true storytelling, longer form content? Yeah, I mean, it's all very, very important to us, and we've taken a long, hard look at it, especially with our like budgets and how we're allocating monies and resources for people and systems and tech partners. I think you need a little bit of, you need all of it. You need some of the storytelling, the aspirational piece to really inspire, have the halo moments, but then you need to trickle down the funnel as well to make sure that you're creating the right kind of content that's engaging with your consumers at the right time with the right message. So it's super important that we're sort of like doing that. And as one of the things we've been doing, we're going to talk about like in-housing and different types of things we're doing, but we've worked with really great creative partners over the world, in-house, external, and right now we're doing a combination, a little bit of both. But we definitely are. We're still working with external creative partners to some degree, but we're definitely in-housing a lot of our creative capabilities and really taking it to the next level in terms of the talent we're bringing in, bringing in consumer insights, making sure that it's all, synced up. We're testing and learning. It's really, really important. And partnering with people like the Knotch to sort of take it to the next level and figure out what's working and what's not. Do you think there's actually a difference in how fashion brands focus on storytelling versus other brands? And if so, what would that be?
It's interesting. I mean, because I've had such a long career at Calvin and we've done a lot of storytelling. I mean, honestly, a lot of fashion brands obviously, some of them aren't great storytellers. I mean, some of them are, some of them aren't, but it's really...
And why is that? Do you think it's because they focus too much on products?
I think that people were obsessed with the perfect image, like static image for so long, and I think most fashion brands are waking up now, and just recognizing what some of these other like ankle biter direct-to-consumer brands are doing that are doing really interesting, innovative things. I mean, they may have brand awareness like us, but they're really connecting with the consumer on a more emotional level. So I think a lot of big brands are connecting the dots more frequently, but it's you have to sort of play with it. And I don't think it's a one-size-fits-all kind of mentality. And I think you have to be brave and you have to test things and test and learn. And I think a lot of people are changing the operating model of like, they're just not spending all the money on the high profile talent and celebrities and beautiful polished images. They're, the Facebook team was just speaking, like, you need to be more nimble, everything can't be so retouched, it needs to be more authentic, with young people especially with the social platforms. It doesn't have to be so polished. And we were obsessed with the perfect image for so long that we've really evolved how we're going to market, especially with social platforms and different type of content vehicles that we push our message out in.
That makes sense. You mentioned how you're thinking about bringing a lot of the strategic functions internally. And so I want to touch initially on the creative function, because that's what you mentioned. We've obviously seen different examples of that being very successful or of that not being very successful, particularly in cases where maybe you have kind of an echo chamber internally at the brand that says, yes, this works, and then you kind of push it out in the world and you realize that maybe it didn't work as well as you initially thought internally. How do you create kind of a checks and balances system between your internal creative team and some of the outside influence?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really important to have a strong ecosystem, like whether it's in-house, external, you always want people to inspire. You want your internal creatives to sort of like be inspired also to get out in the world to sort of see what's going on. But again, we don't have a one-size-fits-all type of notion. We really think that we have great capabilities in-house, but there's some other things that we will go to outside partners, media partners, third-party partners to sort of, test and learn and try things, and really to sort of push the status quo. It's not necessarily a one-size-fits-all type of thing, so we'd definitely like to do that.
So if that's true on the creative side, how do you think about that on the media side? Are you bringing in those capabilities as well?
So, I mean, I started my career in media. So back 20 years ago, we were buying and planning everything in-house out of the US. Obviously, we're a big global brand. We have offices around the world and capabilities around the world. But I would say there was definitely, since Maria's been there and we've been looking at, controlling our own destiny a little bit more, we are in-housing our media in the United States as of spring right now. In a couple weeks, we're going to be launching it and rolling that out to the rest of the world in the not so distant future. But again, it's not, that's where we are today, and we'll sort of see how that goes and evaluate it. But I think it's important, obviously we have great partners around the world and different people of different expertise, and we'll still rely on them. But for right now, we are in-housing a big portion of our capabilities, and we are hiring also on the media side.
So are you asking everyone to
if there's
apply?
any good people, we have some good positions that are available.
So Marie's obviously known as a trailblazer in the industry. She spent a long time at L'Oreal. I remember my first conversation with her. She said she basically wishes she had met me a few years ago because she had to build the entire tech stack at L'Oreal herself. So she's obviously a big believer around kind of building your own core functions. Do you think that's one of the main influences you brought to Calvin Klein? Is there anything else that's big?
No, I think that's huge. I think, I think that we were, as a corporation, we were well underway on that, and she was able to come in and help pivot and kind of finesse where it needs to go, just because she did it at L'Oreal and her expertise is tremendous. And she's obviously brought a huge data-driven marketing kind of spin on everything that we're doing that's really truly consumer first and really pushing boundaries in that respect. And there's a lot of other things that we're working on in the not so distant future. But, and also just, also making sure that we're, upskilling our organizations appropriately. We're training team members. They have time to learn, just because the world is changing so quickly. And, what we knew 3 months ago could be evolved today.
One of the things we were just discussing over there is how we have something big in common, which is that in both startups and now marketing organizations, it feels like you mentioned, I said you're driving the car at 100 miles an hour, you said you're flying the plane while trying to change the engine at the same time. And it's this constant feeling of, you're being overwhelmed and you can never keep up. So how do you manage that internally?
Yeah, I mean, part of my new role in the last, couple of months that I've sort of done leading transformation for the whole CMO group with Marie is really just trying, there's never enough time in the day, there's never enough hours in the day, we're always on, we're trying to instill some time of, family life, work-life balance with everything that we do, but it's a challenge, but it's important, and I just try to level set everything with the teams because we really want our teams to be inspired. We're doing really great work. we're driving consumer engagement and, ultimately, hopefully driving sales as well. So it's really trying to, level set, manage expectations. But again, everyone's moving very quickly. And, the expectations are high. Business, we have high expectations of ourselves and the brand, and we want to continue pushing it forward.
Yeah. I personally gave up this illusion of perfection. I used to be such a perfectionist, and then I realized that sometimes fast is better than perfect, and
it's interesting. We struggle with that. We actually at Calvin, we've always wanted perfection, but again, I think that's interesting.
Well, that's the thing, creative perfection versus how do you keep up with marketing technology. So it's a good tension, though.
For sure.
So what you guys are super iconic as a brand, and one of the massive awareness campaigns has really been around the Kardashians, right, lately. And so I know all these banners around New York. I can probably place them geographically. How do you guys think about the role of influencers, and are you going to be doing more of that going forward?
We, as a brand, Calvin has always been disruptive. We were one of the first brands to use celebrities. Some of the people, like Mark Wahlberg, 20-some years ago, was unknown, but, we sort of made him
He was or wasn't known?
He was not known.
Was he a model back then or an actor?
He was a musician.
Oh.
Yes, a musician.
He still is a musician, I think, yeah.
Well, an actor.
An actor, and also, but I think he plays as well. That's pretty cool.
So, I think it's really important. It's part of our legacy, and we definitely believe that there's tiers of influence in terms of influencers. So we sort of categorize that we have A+ influencers, a la the Kardashians and Jenner clan. We have a mid-tier type of influencer that could have 5,000 to 10,000 kind of followers, more regional influence, and then we sort of have these micro influencers or advocates that we sort of are really tapping into and doing more grassroots type of marketing with them. But we believe we need all pieces of it. And obviously you don't want to spend all your money, time, energy up at the top of the pyramid, but I think you need a balance of it. And I think sometimes engagement with an influencer at the middle kind of the road, their engagement levels could be just as high as some celebrities.
Yeah, maybe it feels more genuine too.
It does. It's definitely authentic. Our secret formula definitely is a bit of sensuality, touch of celebrity, some influence, a bit of provocation. So that tension and that kind of it works. It works for us.
What about #MyCalvins? Obviously, that's been a pretty big organic movement, right? How do you think about the relationship between those potential organic influencers and the ones that you're working with on the paid side?
#MyCalvins is a cultural moment. It's sort of larger than life. It was sort of the initial premise of it was the original Calvin Klein commercial, "Nothing becomes between me and my Calvins." And then 5 years ago, actually I was trying to remember the year, it was 2014 when we first put it on an ad and put it on print ads and billboards all around the world, and really weren't sure what we were doing with it, to be completely honest. It was sort of before hashtags were a big deal. We had some type of engagement mechanism. We actually partnered with another technology company who's very well known in the space with UGC kind of content where consumers can upload images, and it sort of took on a life of its own, but it was also connected. It was jeans and underwear, so it was sexy, there was great product. We had our modern cotton product, the iconic Calvin Klein underwear logo waistband product. It was, there was a lot of cultural moments around it. Coachella, women and guys were wearing the product. That sort of organically popped up. The UGC, we have over 600,000 organic posts. If you just search #MyCalvins, people are posting every day, almost every minute. There's someone posting a picture of themselves in their underwear, in their jeans, or wearing the different Calvin Klein product. So it's very intimate, it's very authentic, and we've sort of evolved it over the years. And for us, it's an ecosystem. It's more than just a hashtag. It's a lot of different layers. And you'll see in 2019, there's a lot of different kind of iterations of what #MyCalvins is going to look like from a consumer standpoint, which is super exciting.
So I think I have one final question. I know we're running out of time, but What do you think is kind of the biggest challenge and the biggest opportunity for 2019?
God, that's a
for Calvin Klein, for the world, whatever you want to say.
I mean, I guess, back to the whole thing about everything is moving so quickly and really not being a perfectionist, because I think we've always wanted to be perfectionists, but it's really, we're really trying to push the business forward, connect with consumers on a more engaging and deeper level with storytelling that connects on all levels. And I would say that that's our main thing we're trying to do as we grow and move the business forward.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you to everyone.
Thank you.